Akkusativ or Dativ. In this video, I'll tell you why we use the German cases, how to use them, and I'll also give you several examples for each of them. Let's jump right in. First of all, let's look at this sentence. Den Schüler lobt der Lehrer. We have Schüler, that means student. We have Lehrer, that means teacher. And we have loben, that means to praise. And you might wonder, who is praising whom now? And in this sentence, it's clear because den Schüler is in Akkusativ and der Lehrer is in nominative case. And so we know that the teacher is praising the student. And if we just change one letter, der Schüler lobt den Lehrer. Okay, we changed two letters, but still, it now totally reversed the order. The student is now praising the teacher. And as you might know, if you know a bit about language history, many European languages, including Greek and Latin, used to have cases. Many still do, like for example German, but others lost the cases over time. So English had cases until several hundred years ago and nowadays doesn't have them anymore. And so what English does, it simply fixed the roles of each noun based on the sentence order, right? So in English, if you say, the student praises the teacher, it's clear that the student does the praising and the teacher is receiving the praise because of the placement in the sentence. But because German has cases, we are much more free to place each individual item inside of the sentence wherever we want while still retaining the meaning. And that's why we use cases in German. All right, and now let's look at each of them. First in one example sentence. Die Mutter erzählt. That means the mother is telling something. Die Mutter is here in the nominative case, is the subject of the sentence. She's the person who does something. And in this case, die Mutter erzählt eine Geschichte. The mother tells a story. And eine Geschichte, a story, that is in the accusative case. That is what she is telling. And then, who is she telling that story to? She is telling it to the child. Die Mutter erzählt dem Kind die Geschichte or eine Geschichte. And so dem Kind here is in the dative case. And so here you see in one example sentence who is doing what to whom. We tell that by using the cases. And if I were to reverse the order, die Mutter erzählt eine Geschichte dem Kind. Now that's not a grammatical sentence, but still it would be totally clear which part has which role and who is doing what. And that's how we use cases. All right, and now let's look at each of them individually. The nominative, as I mentioned, is the subject and every regular sentence has one. For example, ich bin ein Mensch. I am a human. And the verb sein, to be, is a bit special because it always requires a nominative after the verb as well. I am a human. I and the human is the same thing. So that's why we can have two times a subject in that sentence, which would otherwise not be very common. And then, das Telefon ist neu. The phone is new. Das Telefon here is the nominative. All right, then let's look at the accusative. This is what is known as the direct object. And the way you know that you need to put an accusative is based on the verb in the sentence and sometimes also based on the preposition that comes in after the verb usually. And so here we have ich habe einen Apfel. I have an apple. That is to have, haben. This verb haben always requires an accusative. So you know that it's not ein Apfel, but it then becomes einen Apfel. And du kaufst einen Burger. You buy a burger. To buy is also a verb that requires an accusative. And the good news is that most verbs require an accusative. So you don't need to remember them specifically. What you should do is just remember every other verb that is not requiring an accusative. So for example, sein requires nominative. So that's one you can remember. And the dative ones you can also remember separately. But accusative, you just assume that this is the base case. And in this video, we'll just look at the verbs, but I made a separate video where I show you all prepositions you need to know for A1 and also what case they require. And you can see it right up here if you click on this link. All right, and next let's look at the dative. The dative is the indirect object, and it's coming after some verbs, but much less frequent than the Akkusativ. So for example, das Bild gefällt ihm. The picture is liked by him, or he likes the picture. And es geht ihr gut. She is doing well. So in this case, the affected person is written in the dative. And that's generally good to know that the dative is almost always talking about a person, or in some cases also a pet, but it's generally the receiver of some action. And so 90% plus of cases, this is a person. And so if you have some kind of thing, like so let's say a phone or a book, and you have a person also in the sentence, you can be almost certain that the object will be in the accusative case and the person will be in the dative case. And I have exactly for that some examples where we have both in the sentence. And one of them is, ich gebe dir ein Geschenk. I give you a present. Then ich, the person who is doing that, I, that is the nominative, is the subject. And ein Geschenk, a present, is the object that's getting transmitted, that is the accusative. And dir, the person receiving, is in the dative. And then sie erzählt ihm eine Story. That's kind of similar to the sentence we had earlier. She's telling him a story. And to him is here in the dative, and the story is in the accusative case. All right, and that was accusative or dative. I hope that's clear. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments and I'll be happy to answer. And otherwise, all the best for your German learning journey. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.